corpse, dismembering the corpse, and then third-degree sexual assault. So we'll get into what that all means later. Engaged in oral contact with the Shad's body.
Does Wisconsin have the death penalty?
She inserted objects in his...
Oh! Shabusiness. Lady who chopped up a dude, like Jeffrey Dahmer style. Like, what the hell? Like, how is this not making headlines? Like, nobody ever talks about this. Like, things that actually matter. Like, y'all just stuck on fucking TikTok and NPC and yum, thank you. Yum, thank you. Like, stories like this is what excites me, not NPC TikToks. Like, bro, y'all are just trash.
Taylor Shabusiness is a 25-year-old Wisconsin woman on trial for the murder of her friend Shad Thiron. Back on February 23rd of 2022, the police arrived at Shad's mother's house after she discovered her own son's severed head in a bucket. She dismembered and mutilated his body and performed acts on him while he was already deceased. Yeah, this is a quick trial that I might cover. Let me know if you want me to do it, but this is a very intense case. The details are insane. Buckle up. Hit subscribe. Let's get right in this video. So here's one of the prosecutors. Start his opening statement.
February 22nd of 2022, defendant strangled her friend Shad Thiron to death using a dog collar. That after he was dead, engaged in sexual acts with him, his body, subsequently dismembered him using kitchen knives found in the home. The state of Wisconsin, myself, will present a number of witnesses who will testify about what happened in this case, and that'll show and demonstrate to you that the defendant committed these acts. You'll hear testimony and evidence will show that in the early morning of February 23rd, it's a Tuesday, Tara Package, kind of their home, is awoken by here's a storm door closed and is awoken asleep. It's early morning, 2:30, 3 a.m., somewhere in there. She's aware at that point that her son Shad was in the basement with a friend, Taylor. They had been over the day before. Kind of goes and sees what's going on, right? We hear this noise late in the night, early morning. At that point, she's aware that they were down there throughout the day of the 22nd, and right next to the stairs, there's a 5-gallon bucket. There's a towel that's covering the bucket. And unfortunately, sees essentially a mother's worst nightmare. Her son's head is in the bucket. Understandably, you'll hear testimony about that and the shock that caused. Talks to her boyfriend who lives in the home, Steve. You'll hear from him. He goes and checks too, and ultimately they call 911. It takes law enforcement time to see what actually happened, full extent. At that point, they're actually interviewing the defendant, and she's providing them information that, no, Shad's still in the basement. The rest of him is still in the basement. And ultimately, you'll hear about what officers find in that basement. There's, as I mentioned, the living area has some mattresses, blood soaps.
Bro, I can't even fathom this. Like, this case is insane.
There's bags, sort of duffel bag type item, a backpack, all of which contain parts of Shad's body, as well as knives that were used in the dismemberment. Other things that are found. Signs of methamphetamine use, which the defendant later acknowledges happened with her and Shad right before this. Cleaning products. You may have an idea in your head of this crime and what that looks like and what law enforcement would encounter when they got there, and you'll see what actually encountered. How the defendant would go to the shower and sort of clean up and use a squeegee and clean up the scene. It's determined that not all of Shad is located in the basement. There's certain parts that are missing, and ultimately, in the van that the defendant is driving, the old minivan, there's additional legs of Shad found in that van. You'll hear from Dr. Vincent Tranquita. He's our medical examiner, and you'll hear about the cause being strangulation, significant force applied to the neck, and then ultimately, obviously, a significant amount of dismemberment after the fact. Kind of gets word that Shad was with the defendant, Ms. Shabusiness, before this offense, and that they locate her at her apartment, leaving the apartment that she shares with another person. You'll see that encounter, how the defendant is.
I mean, did she think she's gonna get away with it? Like, what is this?
Essentially, really caught red-handed, blood on her hands. There's a significant knife wound that she talks about later was suffered in the course of the crimes. There's blood on her clothing. There's black sweatshirt, black sweatpants.
What was this girl thinking?
She talks with law enforcement for a pretty significant amount of time. She admits as I mentioned, methamphetamine use before this.
What was this girl thinking?
They were in a friendly state at the time of this offense, and you'll hear then they go home and go to the basement. They're let in by Steve. You'll hear about that in the early morning. You'll hear the defendant describe that what apparently begins as a somewhat sexual encounter, a dog collar being placed around Shad's neck, and the defendant quite vividly describes what she then did. Yanking on the chain. She's describing what's happening to Shad. It's evidence that you'll hear, and you'll hear from the defendant's own mouth, that shows that this is an intentional act. It's not one pull of a gun trigger. She's pulling harder, just hoping that he eventually passes, and it takes a significant amount of time. It takes several minutes. But law enforcement would have fun finding all the body parts that are located throughout the basement.
She was quoted saying, "I liked it."
You'll hear the defendant admit to cleaning up, avoiding guilt, avoiding responsibility for this.
Yeah, that's
You'll hear her talk about that. You'll see the signs of that, as I mentioned earlier. That dismemberment process takes that entire day of the 22nd, essentially. Tara wakes up to Taylor leaving at about 2:33 a.m. on the 23rd. The investigation doesn't stop there, despite the defendant's. Law enforcement continues. They send DNA, confirms the accounts that we're getting here. Blood on the defendant's hands, left and right hands, or Shad's. Blood on the knives. Some of the knives that are used is Shad's. The clothing item, as I mentioned, the black sweatshirt, black sweatpants. So this case is really not a whodunit. You'll hear about the crimes that clearly occurred. You'll hear the defendant's statement saying, "Yep, I did it." and you have DNA evidence and other investigative tools that kind of corroborate everything else. So for this, the defendant's charged with the 3 crimes that the judge read off earlier. First-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, or dismembering the corpse, and then third-degree sexual assault. So we'll get into what that all means later. Engaged in oral contact with the Shad's body.
Does Wisconsin have the death penalty?
She inserted objects in his body after. I wonder if he's a public defender, actually, too. I don't know.
The state must prove to all of you jurors, beyond a reasonable doubt, each and every element of the crimes charged beyond a reasonable doubt. The United States Constitution presumes that every person who is accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent. And in this case, Taylor Shabusiness is presumed to be innocent. She doesn't have to prove anything. The defense does not have to prove anything in this case, because the complete burden of proof rests with the district attorney's office with the state of Wisconsin.
He's not wrong. She is presumed innocent, but like if you look at everything that's out there, she's guilty, but she's presumed innocent for now. The prosecutor starts putting all this evidence against her in court.
They have to prove up all the facts. And in this case, you're going to hear a lot of different facts. You're going to hear a lot of different accounts from witnesses. Taylor Denise Shabusiness also has an absolute right to remain silent. She has a right not to testify if she so chooses. She doesn't have to testify, but she may testify. In this particular case, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Denise Shabusiness was friends with Shad. They went to high school together. They went to school at Bayport.
I already have a little bit of a question. So all this happened on the 22nd. All of this happened, like where she killed him and dismembered the body and all that, the entire day, pretty much. And then she left at like 3 in the morning on the 23rd or whatever, or 2 in the morning. And his mom heard it and found the head immediately. Why did they not be concerned of not seeing Shad at all throughout the entire day of the 22nd? Like, that's kind of a long time to not really see someone that you're living with.
Both of them will indicate that they really did not see Taylor Shabusiness leave. What? They heard a vehicle start, a door slam, caused them to wake up.
Oh yeah, they heard a door slam or something, probably her leaving.
Those people were there. No Taylor Shabusiness was there. She wasn't in the basement. She wasn't anywhere in the house. But obviously there was some investigation, and evidence was apparently found. And it's true that law enforcement officers didn't have a clear picture or clear understanding of what was really happening or what happened. And so they're trying to figure things out. Taylor Shabusiness' apartment. And she lived there with Scott Thoms, T-H-O-M-S. Law enforcement officers came over there, came out of the apartment complex, and she was arrested. She was taken into a squad car down to the Green Bay Police Department for questioning by Detective Groff.
He skips past the part that when she was arrested that she had blood all over her and a cut on her hand.
But inside that vehicle there was a crock pot box, and there were some human body parts in there. As part of the DNA analysis, and items were swabbed. The possible contribution of DNA from Shad Therian as it relates to the dildo is inconclusive due to the complexity of the mixture.
Well, it was just inconclusive. That doesn't mean his DNA wasn't on it, but I'm sure there's small amounts of something on there. I'm disturbed.
And really, in any case, you have to assess the credibility of each and every witness.
Yeah, that's nasty.
You have to take all of that into consideration in this matter. Considering all of the evidence.
Yeah, I can just edit that out, you know, or not.
Jump to conclusions. Don't rush to judgment. Please keep an open mind.
This judge is like, yeah, okay.
Listen to all the facts. Listen to what every witness has to say carefully and weigh what they have to say. You jurors are going to have to decipher the facts of what may have occurred, what didn't occur. But at the end of the case, we ask that you find our client not guilty on all the counts.
I just woke me up and swears that she found her severed.
Do y'all still pick y'all nose or not? Like, I know that's a random question, but I mean, like, for real. Like, everyone has to pick their nose. Like, no one's gonna be there feeling a booger and just leave it there just because, oh, picking your nose is just... Like, come on, bro.
Girl swears that she found her severed head of her son in the basement. You went down there? A bucket. I went down, I can't tell what the fuck. No, he was here yesterday with some chick, and then all of a sudden nobody's here. And she came up to use the restroom a couple times.
When's the last time you saw your son?
I don't know. I picked him up from his dad on Monday, Taylor.
Who's that?
Girl. Taylor Coronado.
Yeah,
left all day yesterday.
I feel so bad for this mom, dude. This is insane.
And I went downstairs, and I went to the bathroom, and waited for her out of the basement. I went to turn them off, and I looked around for them. And then when I turned around to come back upstairs, there was a $5 bucket, towel over it.
So this is the first officer that I believe comes on the scene, one of the first 2 officers, and he's one of the first guys that sees the head in the bucket. That's all in video and everything we're about to see right here.
We were directed to the basement where the bucket was located, shower towel on top of it, just to verify we had an actual head in the bucket. Lifted the towel off, and there was, in fact, a human severed head in the bucket.
So I want to back up just a little bit.
What is this case? I cannot believe this is a real dude. Humans do some fucked up shit.
Verify we had, in fact, found a human head in the bucket, and then we started to notify a supervisor and ask for additional units.
She just said, I think my son's head is in a bucket.
I opened the towel, I picked up the towel and dropped it because I don't know what the fuck it is, man. I had that vision. She's like, it's
Right there. Look right there. The bucket was taller.
Can't really train to see this. They see some fucked up shit over the years.
That's
There's no training to
their
prepare a police
son,
officer
bro.
for this.
That's their son.
Let's just.
Bruh.
Hold on. Just.
At this point in time, too, they're probably like not sure if the parents upstairs or the mom and his her boyfriend are like suspects too. So they're probably like, oh shit, we got to make sure that it's not actually them that did this. You know what I mean? Like they're going in this completely blind. They haven't heard about Taylor at all. So. It almost seems like they're not sure what they're looking at, so I feel like the head was probably facing down and they can only see the back of his head maybe. And they're like, is that just like hair? Like, I feel like they're like a little confused or they're just in shock. I can't tell. There is no thought behind these eyes. Like, what is this girl thinking?
Quite a bit of blood down here. I want to clear this rest of this house.
The fact that the rest of his body is just scattered in other places too, like in bags, in a truck.
No other parts of the human body. No.
Did you notice any areas of potential blood?
Yes.
And where was that?
Beyond the stack of mattresses, there appeared to be blood on the floor and then small chunks of human flesh. There was a dried blood stain on the mattresses, and that was all that I remember seeing. Conducting a sweep of the house just to make sure there's no other people hiding or no other threats.
And the complainant said there was something in a bucket, but he couldn't tell what it was. Is that correct?
That is what he told us.
And you talked to Tara Pakinich, and she said that she thought it was her son's head in a bucket down in the basement.
That's correct.
And then did you ask where the body was?
I don't recall asking that specific question.
After you did a search, you didn't find a body, did you?
I did not.
In the basement, you didn't find any people down there, correct?
Correct.
The people that you had contact with, Tara and Stephen, were they in shock?
Yeah, they both seemed to be in a state of shock.
I feel really bad for the family. My condolences to the family. Absolutely insane.
Shad Therian would come to the residence on Stony Brook a few days and then would leave and come back and do laundry and things of that sort.
Yeah, they said that it was not his primary residence.
That explains that. My initial question was, how did they not notice for a full day that he wasn't around, but it wasn't his primary residence, I guess.
Now, did you have gloves on at all?
Yes, I did.
What kind of gloves?
Just regular patrol gloves.
Okay. When did you put those gloves on, do you know?
Typically, I put them on as soon as I got out of my car to go to any call. Once it was removed from the bucket, it was not placed back on the bucket.
Was it just allowed to lay on the floor, or what? Tell me what you know about that.
I believe it was just moved to the side and it was put on the floor next to the bucket.
So our lawyer's trying to pick apart the situation, see if there's any inconsistencies in the witnesses' statements, start to think about how to make them look bad or make these police officers look like they didn't do the best job, but I don't think it's going to go very well.
Anybody in the house touched what was in the bucket or moved it in any way?
I believe they both looked at it.
Did you see Taylor Shabusiness in the house when you were there?
She was not present when I was there.
He keeps having them repeat that Taylor wasn't present when these police officers were there. I think he's just trying to show that she wasn't there when they arrived, but who really cares? This is the second officer that's on the body cam footage, the second officer that sees it.
And that's when he told me that he did find a severed head in the bucket.
Did you then go down to the basement as well?
I did.
And,
Bro,
did you
this
observe
fed
down to
up
the
like
basement?
this baby.
I observed a black 5-gallon bucket to the right of the stairs as I go down. Bottom of that bucket was a severed head. Decided that we were going to have to clear the residence for any other threats that were going to be in the house.
Mr. Hendricks tell you that he went down to look at the bucket and you couldn't tell what it was?
Yes, I believe that was.
That's crazy.
Well, because he has terrible vision, he's
That
50
is
years old,
crazy.
majority of...
But yeah, man, I'm gonna call it a night. Peace out. You guys keep it easy, keep it tight. You know what I'm trying to say. Whatever. Peace.